And something that I worked on that I'm not proud of, chatterbots that I worked on that can be integrated into this weapon system that constantly cause the mind to talk. It's a computer, and it'll keep the mind spinning, but that bot, these are not programmed nicely. These are demons.
Dr. Alan Fry back in the early 60s. So it's frequently called the Fry effect or the microwave auditory effect. There's numerous patents on these technologies. It's basically constant hate-filled messages at the individual which nobody else can hear, between 450 and 700 megahertz. And we've had a number of different targeted individuals provide us data from their own signal analyzers. For statistical analysis that Targeted Justice did back in 2018, we found that approximately 2/3 of the targeted individuals have this very disabling form of targeting called voice to skull.
It's worldwide, and it was intended to be worldwide for the New World Order government. They're trying to develop literally thought filters, so you can't have specific thoughts. They can erase memories, reprogram them with false memories. You can make them angry. You can alter their voice. All the emotions can be controlled. You can insert thoughts. It's totally stealing one's brain, stealing their soul, and that's what this technology can do. It can run other software, overlay it on your hardware called the brain. You're taking away someone's autonomy of thought. We can control leaders of the world. This way, we can get their secrets from other countries without them even knowing it. We have President JFK, who I think was just about to spill the beans more exactly about these mind control weapons. You're taking away free will now. Justice relies upon free will. Why would you want democracy in every country? Well, it's because of mind control weapons. We can control who gets into power. In the world, then your government is not what you think it is. And I know this is horrible, and people need to know the truth.
Targeted individuals, and all that means is they were brought into these secret government programs that I mentioned earlier, and they're being experimented with. Now, maybe there is an end goal here, and we can only hypothesize about that, that more terror and more violence there is in our society, perhaps then they can get the population to take away gun rights. We don't know what their true end goal is here, and we can only speculate. It's called no-touch torture, and why it's so secret. And look at how long it took us just to have the president admit, yeah, we tortured some folks, and that's physical torture.
Yeah.
This is actually even worse through the perception of the human brain, but it's harder to prove because you don't have marks or scars on your body. You just have mental scars. And So how do you show those? And then they just write you off as, well, must be mental illness. So they have a perfect cover. You know, you can believe what you want, you know, what the psychiatrist will say, but remember they're just trained by textbooks. There's no real science behind it, that industry. There's no blood drop that you can get that will prove mental illness. Our media is so controlled. The powers that be, the four major news channels and mass media will not cover this at all. I mean, they're controlled by governments. There's interviews that I have done to expose some crimes against humanity. And I've been collecting this data for over a decade, interviewing people like you to understand what are the methods of these no-touch, brainwashing, mind control, behavior modifications experiments that have come out of the CIA initially, that it was discovered under a project that's a very generic name. They keep changing the project names, MK Ultra. And they also use stalking methods that were developed under the FBI called COINTELPRO, counterintelligence. And it's how to control groups and populations and people that may make more of an influence in social cohesion that they're targeting and interested in. Literally piping subliminal messages and overt messages to the target that no one else can hear. You can alter behavior. Well, that's why commercials work. I mean, you're altering behavior based on the programming of television and radio, and you can do that with human beings.
They come from cell towers almost all the time. And these subliminal messages are directed at everyone, every single person in the United States, and certainly many people in Spain and in Europe are also getting subliminal messaging 24 hours a day from these cell towers. That's one of the reasons they've been effective at getting people to take the vaccine, because they've spread information. Oh, you want to get the vaccine and don't worry about it. Whatever subliminal messages were necessary to get people to accept the vaccine.
This is all done remotely now. They used to have to put you in a laboratory. Then they would run the electroshock, give you drugs, use hypnosis, and then they could create split personalities and create Manchurian candidates. Now it can all be done remotely in the privacy of your own home. In fact, they prefer isolation. You do not have to have a chip implanted in you, but and they used to do that. There's Dr. Delgado, and he used to put chips in human brains, and they had wires and radio controls in their heads, and you can alter emotional states of his subjects. And but the technology has advanced much further than that. I found some scripts, probably from 1962. Originally, and there's a long history of CIA and Army and you name it, they would target the black community, those impoverished, those that had no voice in the community. Myron May, I just listened to his radio show, his interview before he went on his killing spree, and he said, I want a congressional investigation. I want American media to cover this and look into it. These scripts, so the CIA have these torture scripts. They have to walk you down a certain path. And I don't want to get too complex, but it's called hyper game theory. And his script is exactly what I have interviewed 1,000 people for. His is the main one that they use on most people. Threats of killing someone's family is not allowed, but they do it anyway. And it's a common tactic of torture and for behavior manipulation and interrogation. You don't tell us what we want to know, we're going to kill you and your family and do this to them. And so almost all TIs, and that's also why I know Myron May was a real TI, they get that script. Kill your father and we'll let you go, or go on a killing spree or whatever. They say that, and no human's brain is going to come up with that naturally. It's a joke. And this is just classic torture.
So you know for a fact that these weapons that you worked on, they're being used domestically today?
Absolutely.